a little while ago, a couple weeks ago, and it was a message God laid on my heart, and I was talking to James for about a month about it. And it was talking about us being the light at school, and I was just gonna start out with like some statistics. Um, there's we all know there's 24 hours in a day, and this kind of came to me when Brooke was doing her homework one night. There's 24 hours in a day. That's 1,440 minutes, and that goes down to 86,400 seconds. And according to like the world clock, every second someone dies. So today, on that world clock, 86,400 people died. And out of those 86,400 people, how many of them made heaven their home, and how many didn't? And then it goes on to go, we're in school for about 7 days, or 5 days a week. And then most of us on an average school day is 7 hours. So 35 hours out of the week, how many people did you notice? How many lost souls did you notice? Did you? Walking down the hallway, was there anybody with their head down? Walking alone? Eating alone? Was there anybody being bullied, laughed at, picked on? And if there was, were you one of the ones that just joined in? Or did you stand up for them? Or did you just walk on by? And the first verse I wanted to pull up was John 8:12. And it says this: Jesus spoke again to the people, and he said, I am the light of the world. So with that, we're supposed to be more Christ-like each and every day. And how are we gonna be more Christ-like and show the light if we're too afraid to even speak about him, or talk to those ones who are weird, or the ones that are eating alone or walking alone, or the ones who have old clothes or an old backpack that they've had all 4 years of school, or 3. The deaths that have been happening in Marysville. There's been 3 in the past month. One of them happened at a church. That hit my heart hard. Because where were we when that person needed us? Where was the church? We weren't out in the community. We weren't out doing missions. We weren't out doing outreach. We've been inside our walls, sitting comfortably, staying in our comfort zones. Now, I want to bring up that God said for us to be the light of the earth, and we can't be the light if we're staying in here, if we're not going out to the darkness. And what really hit me, and God said this to me, the devil has came into our backyard, mocking us, saying he's taken another soul, and we've done nothing about it. The devil's sitting there and asking, where's your God? He's not here. He didn't save him. He don't care about him. It's because we have been in here and not out there. Now the Bible, it states, for the lost souls that we encounter, and we do nothing for them, their blood is on our hands. And the next Bible verse I want to pull up is James 4:12. It actually talks about something it's similar to that, but it's more focused to us knowing us knowing the right and wrong and not doing anything about it. Right here it says, if anyone then knows the good they ought to do and doesn't do it, it is a sin for them. So when you see somebody getting picked on and you don't step in, you yourself have sinned. When you see somebody eating alone, you don't go eat with them or invite them over to your table, you've sinned. And even with that death, it kind of hit me hard because I had a friend who passed away when I was in 8th grade due to an asthma attack. At the time, I wasn't in the same as I am now with my walk in God, but still, I never took the time to spread the word to him, talk to him about Jesus. And due to that, now I have to pray that at that time I was replaced and someone did. But now I want y'all to learn from my mistake, and I'm going to learn from my mistake. And we have to go out and be the army of God He's called us to be. Because if we're not, it's just going to keep happening, and more souls are going to just go to hell. Now, there's something I wanted to show with this, and I want to do it now. Devin, can you go turn off the light on this one? So in the world, it's dark. We're supposed to be the light like this. But a lot of times when we go to school and work, we slowly dim our light just to fit in, or just so we're comfortable and we don't have to talk about God to people. And then we slowly dim it even more. And this is when the devil starts to act. And when he attacks his hardest is when you're weak and when you're this low. And then eventually, no one even notices. And there's another thing I wanted to bring up. I'm going to go against the wall with this one. When I hold this against the wall, there's no shadow from the light, because there's darkness cannot be where the light is. But when you start to fade the light, a shadow starts to come until you're in the darkness. Thank you.
Well, we should get a clicker.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
The lights come on.
But a lot of those people who are lost, they do a lot of things, we all know, just to fill a void. And with that void, we have an answer and we're refusing to give it to them because we're scared, or we're uncomfortable, or we're just not, we don't know what to say. And one more thing I wanted to bring up this. There was a kid last year who committed suicide. I've heard from multiple people that he did not have any thoughts of suicidal. They never recognized anything from that. After his death, I looked on his Facebook page because I did not know him personally. All over his Facebook page, there were suicidal messages talking about how he wanted to kill himself and how he was hurting. I didn't see one comment of anyone uplifting him, trying to show him support, or even just telling him that they were there. One thing that really hurt is I heard people say that they just thought he was joking. Life is too precious to think it's a joke. We have the answer and we're staying quiet. And the only thing that's laughing in that situation is the devil. And why do we stay quiet? Because we're scared, ashamed, we feel powerless. And I want to also bring up the light again. to how many of us just dim it just a little bit, just so we can fit in. And I'll just use this as an example. Say me, Madison, and Devin are having a conversation about God. And I'll use myself as the victim. Say I have a friend that walks up who's not a believer. I hush them down about it just so they don't know that I'm talking about God. Now, I want to bring up one more verse, and it's Mark 8:38. And it says, if anyone is ashamed of me and my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, the Son of Man will be ashamed of them when he comes into the Father's glory with the holy angels. I don't know about you, but I don't want to be someone that God's ashamed of. I don't want to be told that when I go to heaven. And just through like my walk of God, it's kind of hard to be ashamed of him, yet sometimes I still am. After multiple of things he's done for me, it's still hard to talk about him sometimes. And sometimes we're too worried about our image, what other people think, when in reality, the only image that really matters is God's. When God, this is something that I struggle with, and one reason why it took me weeks to even get this message prepared, other than I'm a procrastinator, is when God says to do something, we don't need to doubt it. We don't need to second guess it. You don't but or what if God. We just need to do it. And just doing it, it just makes you feel so much better. And you know that with his will, he will back you up with any of it. And now I want to, y'all can, if you were reading the envelope, it says, who are you? If you open it up, there's a note card. And the first note card, it tells you who you are. We are a child of God. You are a prince and princess of the King of Kings. Don't let anybody change your mind of that. Now on the back it says, don't let what you do determine who you are. Let who you are determine what you do. We're a child of God. We're princesses and princes of the King of Kings. Let that determine what you do. And some of the last things I have to say is, when we start being the light of the world, we will see more people come to Christ, because they can't come to Christ if they don't see a light. It's like being lost in a trail. It's dark. How will you find your way back to the city? There has to be a light. And now, we let the Spirit flow through us, and you let God come in, and you pray for him day and night, and you read day and night. The more you have Jesus flowing through you, the more power we have over our enemies. And if you pull out the second card, this question goes along with what I'm about to say. Will you be the light who gives someone life? Or are you just going to fade in with the darkness? And on the card it says, who are you going to be a light to? And that's my challenge for y'all. To find someone, to think about them, to pray about them, and be the light to them, and don't give up on them. Because Jesus didn't give up on you. And it says, when I was yet a sinner, he still forgave me and still loved me. So we need to do the same to others. That's all I got.
Great. Hey Devin, can you hit the lights? So